There before Mehmed's eyes was a forest of impaled bodies stretching for miles, each stake a monument to his enemy's ferocity. More than 20,000 Turks, impaled in grotesque formations, their bodies left to rot under the sun. At the highest stake was Hamza Pasha, displayed as the macabre centerpiece of Vlad's vengeance. The sight was horrific, the stakes, some with bodies still writhing in agony, others long dead, creating a nightmarish tableau of death. The sheer scale of the impalement and the methodical cruelty with which it was executed sent shockwaves through the Ottoman Empire. The name Vlad the Impaler became synonymous with terror, a testament to his brutal method of war. In the heart of the 15th century, amidst the blood-soaked fields of Eastern Europe, two figures emerged from the shadows of history, their fates intertwined in a dark dance of power, betrayal, and unimaginable cruelty. This is the tale of Vlad Dracula and Mehmed the Conqueror, two childhood friends who became legendary foes. Vlad Dracula, a prince of Wallachia, was sent as a hostage to the Ottoman court, where he and Mehmed, the future conqueror of Constantinople, shared a bond of forced friendship. Yet, this bond was forged in chains, and the shadows of captivity darkened Vlad's soul. Known as Vlad the Impaler, his name became synonymous with terror. His preferred method of punishment was impalement, a slow, agonizing death that struck fear into the hearts of all who opposed him. Thousands met their end on sharpened stakes, a forest of the dead that stretched for miles, a ghastly warning to any who dared defy him. Legends whispered that Vlad Dracula was more than just a man, he was a creature of the night, a vampire who drank the blood of his enemies to gain their strength. While the truth is shrouded in myth, his insatiable thirst for power and vengeance was all too real. On the other side of this dark tale stood Mehmed II, the Sultan who conquered Constantinople and expanded the Ottoman Empire. Their destinies collided in a brutal struggle for dominance, a battle that would shape the course of history. This is the story of Vlad Dracula and Mehmed the Conqueror, a tale of friendship turned rivalry, of darkness and light, of a time when legends were born from blood. Prepare to enter a world where history meets horror, and the line between man and monster blurs into oblivion. To understand the saga of Vlad Dracula and Mehmed II, we must first grasp the geopolitical landscape of 15th century Wallachia. Nestled between the Danube River and the Carpathian Mountains, Wallachia was a prize contested by two dominant powers, the Kingdom of Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. Imagine living in a land where allegiances shifted like sand underfoot, a place where survival demanded both cunning and strength. Wallachian voivodes or leaders walked a perilous tightrope, their loyalty swaying between these regional giants. Vlad II, voivode of Wallachia until 1447, was no stranger to this dangerous dance. He was inducted into the Order of the Dragon, a society dedicated to defending Christian Europe against the Ottoman threat. From this, he earned the name Vlad Dracul, meaning Vlad the Dragon, and his sons, including the future Vlad the Impaler, became known as Dracula, meaning son of the dragon. In a desperate bid to secure his fluctuating loyalties, Vlad II sent his sons, Radu and Vlad, to the Ottoman court as hostages. For 4 long years they lived as prisoners, and it was during this time that young Vlad crossed paths with Prince Mehmed, a friendship forged in chains that would later erupt into a deadly rivalry. When Vlad II was assassinated by allies of the influential Hungarian Regent John Hunyadi in 1447, the Ottomans saw an opportunity. They released Vlad from captivity, believing he would be a pliant ally. But they were wrong. Vlad's fate wavered until 1456, when he finally secured the throne of Wallachia. By then, Mehmed had ascended to the Ottoman throne, capturing the legendary city of Constantinople and casting his eyes on the Balkans. Can you imagine the tension? A former friend turned fearsome foe, each vying for supremacy in a world where betrayal lurked at every corner. In 1459, Vlad refused to pay the customary tribute of money and young recruits to Sultan Mehmed, perhaps hoping for a united Christian crusade against the Ottomans. However, Europe's kings and princes were preoccupied, leaving Vlad to face the wrath of the Ottoman Empire alone. During this time, Mehmed was more focused on finishing off the last remnants of the Byzantine Empire in Trebizond and the Morea in Greece. Still, Ottoman raiding parties into Wallachia and Vlad's reprisals against Ottoman areas simply fueled the inevitability of a major face-off in the end. Late in 1461, Sultan Mehmed and Vlad seem to have reconciled, kind of. Vlad informed the Sultan that he did not have the money to pay him, but he could pay him in children and horses. So the Sultan sent an emissary, Hamza Pasha, to Vlad's capital at Targovist for negotiations. But Walachia's position between two major powers would see it once again embroiled in intrigues, because Mehmed discovered Vlad was secretly having discussions with the Hungarian king Matthias Corvinus. Hamza Pasha set a trap for Vlad by inviting him to Giurgiu, an Ottoman-controlled city on the Danube. But Vlad was far more cunning than his blood-sucking portrayal as a vampire would have you believe. In the 5 or so years he had been leader, he had centralized authority in his realm, albeit brutally, and advanced the capacity of his government by restructuring administration. So it shouldn't surprise us too much to know that Vlad found out about Hamza Pasha's trap. Vlad set up an ambush of his own, capturing Hamza Pasha and his 1,000 soldiers before moving on to Giurgiu. There he managed to get the Ottoman garrison to open the gates to the fortress by disguising himself and speaking fluent Turkish, surely picked up during his time as a prisoner. After killing everyone inside the fortress, he spent the winter of 1461 and 1462 campaigning in southern Wallachia and even northern Bulgaria after he crossed the frozen Danube. Targeting Ottoman sympathizers and Turks, Vlad proudly proclaimed in a letter to the Hungarian king that he had killed 23,884 Turks. That was not including those who were burned in their homes or those who were beheaded. Thousands of Turks fled south, bringing with them horrific stories that only served to spread panic in the empire. By May 1462, Sultan Mehmed personally led an army of up to 50,000 soldiers into Wallachia. The Danube River, once a barrier, was now a passage for war. As the ice melted, Mehmed's forces used their navy to cross the river, reinforcing their advance with a formidable armada. On June 1st, the Ottomans began their crossing, and by June 4th they had penetrated Wallachian territory. Vlad, with a vastly smaller army, employed every tactic of guerrilla warfare to harass and delay the Ottoman advance. The summer of 1462 was brutal, both in terms of heat and conflict. Mehmed marched through the dense Vlachia forest towards Vlad's capital, Targovist. Vlad had strategically relocated the population and livestock of southern Wallachia to deprive the invading Ottomans of resources. He placed contingents of his troops in the forest, turning the terrain into a deadly maze. On the night of June 17th, 1462, Vlad Dracula's audacity nearly altered the course of history. Leading a surprise attack on the Ottoman camp, Vlad's forces aimed to assassinate Mehmed himself. With torches blazing and bugles blaring, Vlad's men struck, slaughtering countless unsuspecting Ottoman soldiers. However, the Sultan's elite janissaries managed to protect him, and Vlad's attack, though devastating, failed to kill Mehmed. What would you do if your land was threatened by a vastly superior force? Would you stand and fight, or would you use the shadows to your advantage? As Mehmed's forces entered the desolate city of Targovist, they were met with a scene from the darkest corners of hell. The once vibrant city was now silent, its streets lined with the gruesome display of Vlad's wrath. There before Mehmed's eyes was a forest of impaled bodies stretching for miles, each stake a monument to his enemy's ferocity. More than 20,000 Turks, impaled in grotesque formations, their bodies left to rot under the sun. At the highest stake was Hamza Pasha, displayed as the macabre centerpiece of Vlad's vengeance. The sight was horrific, the stakes, some with bodies still writhing in agony, others long dead, creating a nightmarish tableau of death. The sheer scale of the impalement and the methodical cruelty with which it was executed sent shockwaves through the Ottoman Empire. The name Vlad the Impaler became synonymous with terror, a testament to his brutal method of war. Understanding Wallachian politics as well as Vlad did, Mehmed brought Radu, Vlad's younger brother, to challenge the throne. Many Wallachian nobles, alienated by Vlad's brutal methods, supported Radu. Betrayed by his former ally, the King of Hungary, Vlad was imprisoned for 13 years. Yet, his story did not end there. In 1476, Vlad briefly reclaimed the Wallachian throne, only to fall in battle against an Ottoman-backed rival. His death marked the end of a reign soaked in blood and terror, but his legend lived on, inspiring tales of vampirism and immortal cruelty. When I first read about Vlad the Impaler, I was struck by the sheer intensity of his methods. It's one thing to hear about battles and conquests, but quite another to imagine the forest of the impaled, a stark reminder of the extremes of human behavior in the pursuit of power. If you found this journey into the dark heart of history as fascinating as I did, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Join us as we uncover more tales of intrigue, betrayal, and power from the annals of history. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. Which part of Vlad the Imphaler's story shocked you the most?